Response to Dr. Paul Krugman's article in the New York Times on Friday, October 9th, 2015. It's all Benghazi. It's all Benghazi all the time. That's the way the Republicans have been going. This really started big time in earnest around 35 years ago when Reagan first came in. It's hit its pinnacle. It's the peak of success here with the Benghazi thing. Because what McCarthy did is he said what everyone who knows anything about what's going on in politics right now, and who's that one guy, Norm Ornstein, he wrote a whole book about it about 2 years ago, and no one in the mainstream media brought him on to talk about it. And basically he told the truth. McCarthy told the truth, that the whole reason Benghazi committee was there was to take Hillary down. And if we just go back to the Benghazi committee just for a second, when it was first investigated, should there have been an investigation? Of course there should have. There were 4 Americans that died. But there have been a number of investigations. They haven't come up with anything. But what the Republicans have done, because they are in control of the House, is they have done everything they can and taken every single solitary crazy thought that has ever come out of some blowhard's mouth, whether it's Limbaugh, whether it's Mark Levin, whether it's Sean Hannity, whether it's who's that guy Jones, and Laura Ingraham, and stand down orders. I mean, who would ever imagine or think that any Secretary of State, even if they were running for president, wouldn't do everything absolutely possible to try and save the life of another fellow American? Who would ever believe that? But the animosity, the hatred, the disgust that we've heard on the other side about Hillary, about the Democrats, about Obama, this is what it's come to. You have committee after committee after committee on Benghazi, and it's all puff. There's no substance. It's already been proved there's no substance, but they enact another committee, and then the guy who's going to be Speaker of the House tells the truth, and it all goes up in smoke. It was supposed to be there to take down Hillary, and then it took down McCarthy, because there was never any truth to it. It was all fake. It was all false. It was all a scam. It was never about the truth, And Dr. Krugman points on, but this has been going on, and in the last 6 years since Obama was elected, it's going on a tremendous amount. Remember the whole federal debt thing? We're going to have debts as far as the eye can see. I don't want to have to pay for my grandchildren. I don't want to raise the debt that my children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren are going to have to pay about. And of course, the whole thing is, they're going to run with it as long as it works for them. And it worked for them because people are going, oh, well, we do have a little bit of debt, but they don't really know that much about it. So when you listen to Rush, when you listen to Mark Levin, I really love him. He's just such an incredible scam artist. But when you listen to them, it just sounds so good. It sounds so logical. But we've managed our debt for years. England has managed its debt for 300 years, so the whole thing about the debt was bogus. Remember the whole thing about China, that China had to keep buying all of our debt, and if China decided not to buy our debt, we'd have incredible inflation, we'd be going under, and all of this other kind of shit. Excuse the expression. But guess what? That's what's happening. China is now selling American debt on the open market, and other countries are buying it. And China is selling it because they had a run-up of their stock market. It ran up to, and then suddenly, within about a 3-month period, it went down 40%. Never mind that even after it went 40% down, year to date, it was still making above what it was. But it went down so suddenly. They're paying off a lot of their debt. Guess what? Are you hearing the Republicans say anything about it? No, because nothing has happened about it. So that's what it comes down to, is that everything is false, it's phony, it's a false narrative about anything that's going on, because they know the American people will listen to what they have to say. They yell it and scream it enough. The Republicans are in control of the House and the Senate. They bring their crazy ideas to these people, and then the craziest of the crazy of them try and bring the whole thing out, And of course, Dr. Krugman points out the most important aspect of the whole thing is that the Beltway press, the media, whatever, if you know anything about politics, you know that this is, it's not, you can't play. When Norm Ornstein wrote that book, I think was somebody named Mann, wrote that book, no, both sides don't play it. It's much worse than you think. The Republicans, they don't want to run government. They want to take government down. And of course, and so they're not interested in good governance. And so everything has to be, both sides, and the press has played along with this. They haven't called them out for it. How come people haven't said, you have to be crazy to think that Secretary of State Clinton had a stand-down order? She's not in the fucking military. So, and all of this is fake. It's bonus. It's bogus. It's not both sides do it. And in essence, McCarthy did us a favor, because now what we see behind all of that, there was no governing policy. They don't have a governing policy. They don't know how to govern. They don't know what they want to do. No one wants to be Speaker of the House anymore. It used to be a prestigious job. Now it's a glorified babysitting job. I mean, and here's the whole thing in a nutshell. Everything about the Republicans are bringing up everything false. I think Paul Waldman said it best about 2 or 3 years ago. They take something that might have a sliver of truth to it. Perhaps we should have an investigation into Benghazi to see exactly what had gone on. But then the crazies came out and took that sliver of maybe 1 or 2 or 3 things out of 100 went wrong, but we need to find out what they are so we can improve them. And they make it out like there's 95% of everything is wrong. And everything is Hillary's fault. Everything is Obama's fault. And then they keep running this narrative, and guess what? The press plays along with it like we need to hear both sides, like both sides do it, like they're both guilty of this, because the Republicans are going to go to as far conservative as they can, and the Democrats are going to go as far left as they can. But that's not the case. The Democrats are not going to go that far left. But the Republicans right now are being run by the crazies of the crazies. And this shit's got to stop.